Hey there, welcome to Technibility. I'm Berge. We have a great comparison here for you guys here at Technibility, your source for no-nonsense tech. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to check out www.technibility.com. Okay, here on the left-hand side we have the Google/LG Nexus 5, and here on the right-hand side we have the Google/LG Nexus 4. Alright, so getting started with both of these devices, we're going to go ahead and take a look at both of them, look at the hardware, compare the hardware, and then compare the software, because both of these bad boys are running. Just go to settings here. Oh, I went to Skype. Both of these are running KitKat 4.4.2. Okay, you can see right there. We got KitKat on both. Okay. Alright, we can go home here and get the notifications. Alright, so the Nexus 5 and the Nexus 4. So what's the difference between these two? Well, first thing first, both of these are Google devices. They're the actual proprietary Google phone. So this is the phone that Google releases once a year. That gets direct Google updates. It usually has the latest and greatest in Android software on it, and that's obviously evident with the Nexus 5 because it came with 4.4 out of the box. And of course the Nexus 4 was recently updated to 4.4. However, with that said, both of them have their fundamental differences, regardless of the fact that they are the same manufacturer, regardless of the fact that they are both running KitKat. They do have fundamental differences, and before I get started with anything, I'm going to go through the hardware of both of them. With the Nexus 5, you can see right here, it's a fairly thin device at 8.6 millimeters. You got a quad-core 2.3 gigahertz Snapdragon 800 processor with an Adreno 330 GPU. Alright, on the bottom you have the charging port, you have the microphone and the speakers, you have the volume rocker right here, power button and SIM card tray. Top you have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Alright, and on the back you can see it has a matte-like finish, comes in both black and white. 8 megapixel camera with flash, LG logo, Nexus logo, and overall it's a very simple candy bar device. Now in terms of the screen, it's a 5-inch 1080p display, rendering 445 pixels per inch. It's true IPS HD, it's an LCD display, so you got good viewing angles, but you do have certain situations where you can see right there, it gets a bit washed out. But the screen nonetheless is gorgeous, it's got good viewing in direct sunlight. We like the screen, it's 4.95 inches, however, it does have this navigation bar on the bottom, so it's a bit smaller in terms of the entirety of the home screen, but when you do enter apps or you go to Google Now, for example, you do get the entirety of the screen. You can do full screen and whatnot, so that's available here with the Nexus 5. An absolutely gorgeous device, no doubt about it. Okay, now here with the Nexus 4, you have a 4.7-inch display. It's 720p, it's 768 by 1280, rendering 318 pixels per inch. It's also a true HD IPS display. Okay, you have a quad-core processor in here. It's a 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon quad-core with an Adreno 320 GPU. Okay, now just in terms of its display, you can see it's a very vibrant display. You got the navigation buttons on the bottom, the on-screen navigation. So again, even though it's 4.7, that does take up somewhat of the screen when you're dealing with the home screen. And you can see it's got the power button, or excuse me, the volume rockers right here on the side with the SIM card tray. Power button right here. Charging port, speaker, and microphone. Up top you have the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. On the back you have the Nexus logo with the glass finish, almost like the iPhone 4 and 4S. You got the glass finish with the 8 megapixel camera and flash. It's a fairly thinner device as well. It's not as thin as the Nexus 5, but it's 9.1 millimeters, so it is a fairly thin device. It's also got a nice finish in terms of the sides being matte. You can see them compared to one another. Okay, you can just see in comparison here. Both are thin. The Nexus 4 is definitely a bit smaller. Alright, and one of the other differences, of course, is also that the screws here on the Nexus 4 are presentable, whereas with the Nexus 5 they're not. So they're both unibody in the sense that you can't remove the SIM card, or you can't remove the back plates to add a micro SD card slot or to remove the battery. If you wanted to do that, you would actually have to pop off the phone. Okay, so that's the actual hardware of both devices. Let's go ahead and get started here with the software by looking at the lock screens. Again, they're both running KitKat 4.4, so they're near identical. Here you see there's a passcode. You can basically access Google Now right there. You got the passcode screen, you got the camera, okay, lock screen widgets. Let's just go ahead and unlock this here. You have face unlock as well. All right, very simple process. You also got the camera here, notification, you got Google Now. lock screen widgets, and with this you could just unlock by swiping. You can set that up here as well with the Nexus 4. Okay, now going into the settings, let me show you guys the differences here with the settings, if there are any differences. Or you can see just in terms of both displays. Now both technically have the same technology, however, and both are at the same brightness right now. You can see that the Nexus 4 is a bit darker when it comes to the blacks. The blacks are a bit blacker, and that does have to do partially, and this is a speculation, but I'm just noting this here, that the display on the Nexus 4 is a bit more shiny than what you get with the Nexus 5. It's got more of a shiny glass with the Gorilla Glass that's over the LCD display, so it looks a bit more shiny, and at the same time it's not as good in viewing in direct sunlight, whereas with the Nexus 4 it's actually really solid when viewing in direct sunlight. Now you can see, just panning through the settings menu, they're both very fast, very responsive. You got the over scroll effect, which is now white, it used to be blue, and just going through the settings, really nothing has changed. You got tap and pay, which if NFC is enabled, you're going to have that feature. You got accounts. Alright, you got all the features down here below, such as printing, developer options, date and time. And again, the text is a bit bigger on the Nexus 5 due to the fact that it's a slightly larger display. Okay, you can see that there. And the whites look a bit whiter as well. Whereas again, with the Nexus 4, the blacks are a bit blacker, but the whites are a bit whiter here on the Nexus 5. Okay, so we're on the same Wi-Fi network here. We're going to go home, alright, and we're just going to multitask. And you can see it's slightly bit more responsive on the Nexus 5. Even swiping away apps is a bit faster. And we're going to do some speed tests here by just opening and closing out of apps. Alright, so let's go to the Play Store here first. Okay, same Wi-Fi network. You can see slightly faster to open on the Nexus 5. Alright, let's go home here. Alright, let's go ahead and open the camera, and we'll get into the camera in a bit. Okay, again, slightly a bit faster on the Nexus 5. Alright, let's go ahead and open Gmail. Again, slightly a bit faster on the Nexus 5, and again, that's to be expected with the Snapdragon 800 quad core. Okay, let's go ahead and open Chrome. And you can see the Chrome tabs here, how those work. As you can swipe it away, swipe it away. Let's just go to a website here and see which one loads it faster on the Wi-Fi network. Technibility.com. Oh, well, that was a bit unfair because the Nexus 5 actually clicked on it first. But just in terms of loading the websites, the Nexus 5 is super fast. I mean, you can see how fast that loaded Technibility.com. We just got new hosting, guys, so it's much faster than it was before. Pinch zoom, super fast. Panning around the screen while pinch zooming, super responsive. I know it's kind of light there, but we'll go ahead and click on an article. It's still loading here on the Nexus 4, probably because it's loading for the first time. It's not cached. Alright, so let's just go ahead and wait till this loads, and you can see how the tabs work. You can either swipe down or you can push the tab button right here and get various tabs, open new tabs. Again, go back, swipe away the tabs that you don't want. Pinch zoom. Again, you can see the whites are a bit more whiter than the Nexus. Alright, we're going to go ahead and just click on a link here at the same time. Alright, you can see the Nexus 5 again, slightly a bit faster, and I haven't loaded this website on the Nexus 5 yet, so this was a first. You can see panning through them, no stutter on the Nexus 5, and really no stutter on the Nexus 4 either. Both are very fast systems. Okay, let's zoom in, double tap, and choosing text, of course, highlighting text, copying text, defining text. You can see how that works right there. Okay, now let's look at some third-party apps like Facebook on both. Again, opening them at the same time, you can see it loads immediately on the Nexus 5. It loads. It's very fast when scrolling on the Nexus 5, whereas with the Nexus 4, again, you do have a bit of stutter while it's loading, but it's still very fast, even refreshing. Nonetheless, again, it's a quick system. You do have a quad-core processor in this thing, but again, both are pretty responsive, and you can see you can access the notification bars here on both. You can also access Google Now, of course. Going home here, let's go ahead and look at the notification bars. Alright, now you have the ability to go to the quick settings panel by just clicking here. You have your quick settings panel, which is not customizable unless you have a custom ROM, which allows you to customize the quick settings. You can also use 2 fingers to bring them both down. Just bring them back up, and you can access that in third-party apps as well. Alright, let's go ahead and look at YouTube here and look at some third-party videos. Technibility. And thank you guys for continuing to support Technibility. You know, we've reached a plateau here with almost 6,000 subscribers. Continue watching us, continue subscribing. We will continue releasing great, no-nonsense tech for you guys. Okay, let's just wait till both of them load. We also have some great repair videos that you guys can check out on the channel. Alright, so the Nexus 5 lagged behind because I skipped the ad a little bit later than the Nexus 4. So the Nexus 4 loads. Let's actually go ahead and listen to them.
Technibility, I'm Verge. Check out www.technibility.com. We are your source for no-nonsense tech. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So what we have here is a great comparison.
Fast forward, of course, rewind, as you so please. Okay, again, slow network. Let's just go ahead and look at the Nexus 5 now.
And that's the Google/LG Nexus 5 versus the Apple iPhone 5S. If you guys already have it, check out the individual review we have of the 5S as well as the...
Lagging a bit because the network is slow. I apologize for that, guys. But you can see the video quality on both.
Nexus 5. So let's go ahead and get started.
A bit brighter there on the Nexus.
So the first thing we're going to go ahead and go through is the hardware of both devices. Now, the
and again, you can access the notifications.
Proprietary Apple hardware, Apple software. So you have, I
quick settings, quick settings.
7.0.4 on this, and we will be doing a comparison of 7.1 versus KitKat 4.4.2. But as of right now, this is running 7.
Okay, exit out of both. You can see video quality is solid on both. Definitely something that we are content with. They both have gorgeous displays, no doubt about it. The Nexus might be a 768 by 1280, and this is a 1080, it still renders, you know, over 300 pixels per inch, so it's still got a gorgeous display, no doubt about that. So we're content with the display here on the Nexus. Now in terms of quadrant scores, I'm not going to run quadrants, but we got about an 8,600 on the 5, whereas with the 4 we got about 5,200, which is a given. Now, you know, there's been phones with lesser hardware that have received higher quadrant scores. I had the HTC One, for example, with a custom ROM, Android Revolution. Shout out to Mike HD, Mike 1986 at XDA, for creating that wonderful ROM for the HTC One. And I was able to get about a 20,000 on quadrant. So even though the hardware on the Nexus 5 is better in terms of overall newer, latest and greatest hardware, it got lesser scores. Now, that could be a lot of things. Optimization for KitKat, or a variety of other things. Again, it really depends on how much stock you put into benchmarks. All right, now going back and looking at both cameras, I know that's important. A lot of people have concerns about the camera here. And the Nexus 4 did get a lot of flack for its camera. We're gonna go ahead and just look at both here. Pan over here with the camera. And show you guys the cameras on both. They both have the same system. They both have the ability to go to photosphere, panorama, camera, and video. And you can see the quality on both. Okay. Okay, yes, the Nexus 5 is a bit faster in taking pictures. See that it doesn't have burst shot. There's third-party cameras for that. And of course, you do have the front-facing camera. I do wish they had a navigation bar up top to switch over to the front-facing camera instead of long pressing, but it is what it is. Hey guys. Okay, you can see the colors on the Nexus 5 are a bit more vibrant. All right, just looking at it, got an unknown call. Just looking at it, you can see that the colors are a bit more vibrant. And again, you do have access to the notification bar as well as Google Now. All right, so we can exit out of here, and you can just swipe over both systems and look at the pictures that you took and edit them, add filters. You can see right here with this button right here, you can add filters. All right, you can see photo editor. It also syncs with third-party photo editing apps. Okay, let's just go back here. Not really very representative of the quality that you're going to get on both, but let's just go ahead and look at them here. Okay, you can see the various photo filters that you have. You know, you have crop, editing, and all that. It's the same here. It's the same photo editing app. It's a KitKat app. Now, one of the great things that I like about the Nexus is the ability to, or just in general, Android in general, excuse me, not the Nexus, is the ability to share photos, share third-party, integrate third-party apps here with the sharing option. So you can simply just go here to a photo, click on share, and you have various different sharing options, and third-party apps integrate into this. Now the same again could be said for the Nexus 4. This is an Android feature. And if you don't like the pictures, you could just swipe them away. Same here, pinch in, swipe them away. They're simply gone. Okay, you can see how that works. All right, let's go home. Let's go home. So the camera on the Nexus 5 is pretty solid. You know, I'm fairly content with the camera here on the Nexus 5. Again, people did have their fair criticisms about it, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a good camera. It's got its perks. It's better than the Nexus 4, I'll tell you that much. The Nexus 4, for as great of a phone as it was in terms of its speed and overall fluidity, one thing that it did lack was in the camera department. It did have a bit of some issues there with the camera and in terms of just overall quality. Video quality is also good on the Nexus 5, and you can see just the colors on the Nexus 5. It's just really good. The camera quality is solid. It's 8 megapixel, both of them are. Both have really good quality. Okay, but the Nexus 5 definitely outdoes the Nexus 4 in terms of camera quality. All right, let's go ahead and run a game here, third-party game, and see how that looks on both. All right, so we'll do Tetris here, and we'll do Blitz here. Let's do 2 different games. Okay. You see, very quick to load on the Nexus 5. Very, very quick to load. Graphically, absolutely gorgeous. We've come a long way in terms of gaming on phones. Okay. 30 seconds. All right, again, you can access the notification bar. You can also access Google Now, multitask by just pushing the multitask button, close out of everything, and you are out. Okay, over here, turn up the volume. Not too good at this, guys. I know it's Tetris, it's like the easiest game ever, right? Alright, again, multitask. See, it's a little bit slower in terms of just overall operation. You saw that with the multitasking. Just slight little lag, but nothing too crazy. Now, in terms of development, both have a really, really good development community. You can find a flurry of custom ROMs for the Nexus 4. They still develop for it as well as the Nexus 5. Both are absolutely fantastic in terms of their development community. You can see in terms of the keyboards here. All right, both have their respective keyboards. Both exactly the same. You have your emoticons, however you want to pronounce that. All right, so you have a flurry of those as well. Going back to the keyboard, both are super responsive. I do feel like the Nexus 5 is slightly a bit more responsive with its keyboard. Okay, and you also have voice dictation. Hey, how are you today? This has a vibrate on. Hey, how are you today? All right, you have the option to swipe back. You have the swipe back gesture here with Hangouts. Let's go ahead and exit out. Okay, now one thing I will say, just back on the topic of keyboard and voice dictation and all that. One thing that I do like about the Nexus 5, or one thing that I found to be completely, I mean, just overall much, much better is the battery life. The battery life on the Nexus 5 is absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Now, people may have a different opinion on that, but with me, I have a lot of accounts synced to this, social networking, you know, constantly on my phone, and the battery life has been really good. The Nexus 4, the battery life could be a bit shoddy at times, and you know, again, it's something that I think Google recognized and LG recognized, which is why they put a bigger battery in the Nexus 5, and also it's got a 1080p display and all that good stuff. But overall, the battery on the Nexus 5 is fantastic. The Nexus 4, it could be better. But it's really not the worst. Now check this out, guys. Okay, Google. Navigate to Burbank, California.
Navigating to Burbank, CA.
Who is the 16th President of the United States? Abraham Lincoln.
According to Wikipedia,
Oh, look, the Nexus 5 didn't get that.
16th President of the United States.
How old is Angelina Jolie? Where is the nearest Starbucks?
Here are the listings for Starbucks less than 1 mile away.
What is the weather in Bangladesh?
It's 59 degrees with fog in Dhaka.
What is 12 times 12 minus 9 plus 3 times 6 to the second power?
12 to the second is 144.
Didn't get it as comprehensively. Set reminder tomorrow 3 p.m. Need to go to the doctor and then need to call Jack. Well, need to go to the doctor. Oh, I got a forced close. Okay, well, so be it. I got a forced close on the Nexus 5, and actually that's the first forced close I've gotten on the Nexus 5 since I've had it. So that's something new to me, guys. I see you guys see it with me. All right, so we got the forced close on the Nexus 5 for whatever reason. Let's check out the dialers on both. Okay, you can see the dialers. Same. All right, again, it's a bit more vibrant, a bit brighter here on the Nexus 5, but the blacks, I want to go back to the blacks being a bit more dark and a bit more black here on the Nexus 4. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of the Google apps here and compare those in terms of speed. Let's go to keep. Okay, let's go back here. Again, you could just push the back button. Let's go to play music. Okay. Let's do play newsstand. Okay. Let's do wallet. Okay. Go back here. Let's save. Let's do Earth. Google Earth. See how quick it loads on the Nexus 5. Still, it's fairly fast to load on the Nexus 4. And you can see that. Pinch zoom. No thanks. Pinch zoom. So everything is super fast on both, but it's just slightly a bit faster on the Nexus 5, and you can feel it. You definitely can feel the speed increase on the Nexus 5 in comparison to the Nexus 4. Okay, let's see, where is news and weather? Should have news and weather here somewhere. There it is. Okay, news and weather. Alright, so you can see no location set. Again, they're the same app. Okay, let's go to maps here. Okay. Zoom on the maps. You got 3D maps, of course. You could set satellite feed and whatnot. Let's get out of there. Alright, setting widgets and whatnot is the same. You could just long press on the home screen. You can see it's a bit different here on the Nexus 5, on the Nexus 4 actually. You can actually set up gallery, live wallpaper, photos, and wallpaper from this drop-down menu, or from this menu right here. Whereas with the Nexus 5, you got wallpapers, widgets, and settings. So if you click on wallpapers, you got that variety of wallpapers. Here you have more live wallpapers than you do with the Nexus 5. Let's go ahead and look at the wallpapers here on the Nexus 4. Okay, so you can see the wallpapers are similar to what you had with Jelly Bean, whereas with the Nexus 5, they are KitKat wallpapers. They're brand new wallpapers specifically made for the Nexus 5. And in order to access widgets, you click on the widgets tab over here. Of course, you have the widgets tab in the notification drawer. So you can see, but the widgets are generally the same. You can see there's a little bit of stutter there with the Nexus 4, but they're generally the same widgets. Okay, and it's the same system in terms of taking a widget, for example. Let's say power control, and then we can do power control, and then just putting it wherever you want on the home screen. It'll adjust the icon grid for you if you need that. Okay, and you could just basically remove them by swiping them up. Taking an icon, dragging it to another icon creates a folder. Same can be said here. They're similar system, but you can see the folders look a bit different. Okay, you can see you got the white finish here, you got the black background here. Okay, so there are subtle differences. All right, and one of the subtle differences here that you don't have with the Nexus 4 that you do have on the Nexus 5 is the Google Now tab on the far left. So you have the Google Now tab on the far left, all right, that you can access and set up and customize as you so please. Here you don't, but you do have the persistent widget obviously up top, which you can utilize. And again, going back to the notification bar, it's the same. So again, subtle differences, but at the same time, they're very similar in many ways. And both systems obviously are Android, it's KitKat, you know, but they do have their subtle differences. And the reason for that is because they want to obviously market a few different features here with the Nexus 5, whereas with the Nexus 4, of course, it's a year-old phone, and when it was initially released, it did have features that other Android phones did not have. So the owner of a Nexus 4, the question is it worth upgrading to the Nexus 5? You know, that's a tough one because the Nexus 5 is such a great affordable phone. You get so much bang for your buck. I believe for $349, $390 in the US with shipping and tax total for the black or white 16GB model, I think it's quite worth it. At the same time, given the Nexus 4's sale price of $199 when they were trying to get rid of it at the time that they were about to release the Nexus 5, it's a tough sell right now, or it's not necessarily a tough sell, but you're not going to get much for it in the third-party aftermarket. So you're likely going to get maybe $250 for the Nexus 4 if you have one in solid condition, and you can always apply that towards purchasing the Nexus 5. Now, one thing that you do want to know is that it takes a while for them to ship this thing. Although it'll tell you that it has a shipment date of, say, 3 to 5 days from when you ordered it, that's when it leaves the factory. At that point, it has to go to UPS, and then UPS has to deliver it to you, which could take up to another 7 to 10 days. So keep that in mind. But the question still remains, is it worth upgrading? Personally, and I like the latest and greatest, and I'm a big fan of the Nexus 5, I think it is worth upgrading. However, if you are the owner of the Nexus 4, you shouldn't feel like your phone isn't up to par, because it definitely is. It still has great hardware, it still has a great look, it still has a great feel. It's definitely still a thin phone. It's built to last, in my opinion. You got that glass back with the Nexus 4, and with the Nexus 5 you have the matte finish. It's thinner, it's definitely an attractive phone, it's got a nice feel to it. In terms of the camera, the Nexus 5 camera is better, the battery is better, I think the screen in direct sunlight is better. And there's obviously a few other features that Google and LG have added here that you don't get with the Nexus 4, even with KitKat implemented on the Nexus 4. So if you have the money and you're looking to upgrade, then I would say that it's probably worth looking into because of the value of what you're going to get purchasing the Nexus 5. So I would say that yes, it is worth purchasing, but if you don't have the money and you do have a Nexus 4, then I would say you're content. Bless your heart, you're content. You got a great phone. Really no need to feel like you're missing out on much. Okay, so that's pretty much that. I just wanted to let you guys know that both of these phones are fantastic in their own respective ways. I'm a big fan of the Nexus line. I have been since the original Nexus. And I want to thank you guys for watching Technibility. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for continuing to support us. Also check out technibility.com. Also don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Google+, and all that good stuff as well. We got it all in the description below. Check out some of our other content. Leave some comments below. Let me know how you guys feel about this comparison. Let me know if you have a Nexus 4, if you're kind of feeling like you want to upgrade, or if you're on the fence, and I'll try to assist you guys to the best of my ability.